Okay. So just to start off, who are you and what are you running for?
So I'm Lottie and I'm running for association president.
Why are you running?
So I'm running. I took quite a long time to think about this because I was really unsure about whether to run. But like at the end of the day, I decided that I want to run because I like genuinely want to try and make a positive difference in people's lives. And if in the role I am able to change a few things that are able to improve the St. Andrews experience for like even a couple of people, that's brilliant and that's something that I want to do.
Awesome. Why are you qualified to be association president?
So I think I'm qualified for the role because I've had a lot of experience in campaigns. I have been involved with the campaign for affordable housing since its inception a couple years ago. I have been involved in campaigns against universal credit, which would see students significantly worse off. I campaigned to get Layla installed as the rector, which was successful. I'm very happy about that. I've also held several different roles on societies. I've been a chair for 2 consecutive years. I've worked as a PR assistant and as women's officer as well. And as well as that, I've also got experience speaking to news outlets and having people listen to me, I guess.
Okay. What is one thing that your predecessor or predecessors have done well, and what is one thing that you think in their job they've handled poorly as association president?
Oh, okay. So I think that obviously this year with COVID kind of being really unexpected, and I mean, the current association president last year when he was running would obviously not have a clue that it was going to happen and have a massive impact. So I think like this year, obviously because COVID's been a massive thing, there are like quite a few things from the manifesto last year that haven't been able to be achieved, and I like don't think that's really anyone's fault, but obviously the pandemic's kind of taken over, and I do think that the way that the association has dealt with that this year has been really good. They've definitely been trying to make sure that students' voices have been at the heart of uni's decision making related to the pandemic and teaching. And I think Dan did some brilliant stuff with the Can Do initiative as well,
Mm.
and the survey, making sure that the Students' Association was doing what students wanted to do. And I think that's been really good.
Is the Can Do initiative something that you see extending into next year and potentially extending forever, even if we sort of get out of having to have all of these COVID precautions?
Well, I think obviously we're kind of easing out of COVID restrictions at the moment, but it is looking like there will be some stuff in place by the time next semester starts.
Mhm.
So even though we might all be vaccinated by then, as the UK government is saying, there might still need to be masks being worn and social distancing and things. So I
Mhm.
think having the Can Do initiative in place for at least the next academic year, while we are still having these restrictions on what sort of events can be held and distancing, I think continuing the Can Do initiative would be really good. Whether it continues further into the future than that, when we're not needing regulations, I think would depend, I guess, on how successful it's been in the direction you take the initiative in. I think having the marquee space is actually really good and it's been quite useful for societies to access. So whether there's changes in the way that the Can Do initiatives run to make it more suitable for like a post-COVID world, I think that's definitely something that could be looked at.
Yeah, it's been really nice having Lower College lawn be a place that's not just for raisins and for balls. But speaking of balls, I did want to ask for many people, current students included, they sort of feel that St. Andrews is a place that's not just elite, but has elitist overtones. First off, do you agree with this view? And if you do, how do you plan to enact on campus change to combat this?
So I would agree with that. Um, I do think especially the cost of living in St Andrews is so high that immediately puts people off coming here, even if they are able to get the really high grades that they need to get in. It is difficult to take up a place if you can't afford the ridiculous amount of rent that it costs to live here. So I think, I mean, in my manifesto, there's a big section about accommodation and accessibility. And I think the university needs to focus on making its accommodation more affordable and more of it, because we've seen this year with students being sent out to Dundee and Lucas that there needs to be more accommodation in St Andrews. The situation is insane. So things like that to make St Andrews more affordable will definitely help with the elitism that is happening here.
I see. I was actually just about to ask about accommodation, so thank you. Perfect segue for bringing that up. I saw that you've been a part of the campaign for affordable student housing since the start, and I was kind of wondering if you could explain what that is and how that works, and if there was anything that you felt like you learned while you were part of it that you want to highlight in your role as president with regards to accommodation.
Yeah, so the campaign for affordable student housing, or like CASH as its little acronym is, that was started a couple years ago, basically just to highlight how expensive accommodation in St Andrews is, both within the uni and what the uni provides, and private accommodation as well. So we in the campaign have been comparing St Andrews' prices to unis up and down the country, and St Andrews is more expensive than some of the London unis, which is, yeah, it's insane. Like, obviously, it's a small town here, and there's issues with HMOs and building new things. But the cost of accommodation is just ridiculously high. So the campaign basically is trying to bring attention to that and get the university to make it more affordable. Put more like bursaries and things in place as well. And my particular role on the campaign has often been focused around like more of the PR side and getting the message out there. So as being part of the campaign, I have really learned how to make pretty graphics and make sure that we're getting a message across clearly. And I think that's really important for the role of president, because there's so many different emails every week and so much going on Facebook that people miss things really easily. And making sure you're getting across your message efficiently and concisely so that people can find information easily is like incredibly important.
Oh, I'm really sorry, but I think my internet cut out for the last 30 seconds of that. Would you mind repeating it?
Yes. What was I saying? So on the campaign, sorry, my hair was looking really gappy just then.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Yeah, on the campaign, I've been like focused on PR and the social media roles. So a lot of what I've done has been about getting the message out there as clearly as possible and making sure that students know their rights and where they can find all this information. So I've sort of learned how best to make graphics and communicate. And I think that's something that's really important for the role of president, because there's so many different emails and like Facebook posts and stuff going on. You're bombarded with information and things can get lost really easily. So communicating that in the most effective way so that people can find it easily is like really important.
Okay, I gotcha. Thank you. Thank you for repeating that.
That's fine.
So a couple final questions about manifesto specific stuff. I saw that you mentioned kind of maybe pushing pushing students to consider joining the National Students Union. And I know a lot of us, because we've lived through the strikes, know about the teachers union, but I was kind of wondering if you could explain a little bit about how this union works, how our university would go about joining it, and like what do you view are the benefits of doing so?
Yeah, so the National Union for Students has branches for all of the UK. So there's NUS England, Wales and Scotland. Currently, I think it's about 95% of university student unions are members of NUS. And that means that they are able to have conversations with unions all across the country and make sure that we're campaigning most effectively on things that are affecting students and have access to resources that we wouldn't otherwise. Mm-hmm. So I know it can be quite difficult to sort of get involved in those big national campaigns if we aren't part of NUS, because you sort of get shut out by not being part of it. And while there are downsides to joining NUS, like you do have to pay, so it's costly, I think that being at the table for those conversations and being able to work with students and student leaders like all across the UK is just so beneficial. Like working together with others means that you can get things done more effectively and efficiently. And I think being part of that union is a brilliant thing.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. What are some of the things that you've seen that it's been able to help other universities with?
So they have had campaigns this year, I think, centered around like decolonizing the curriculum and making it more inclusive, which is something that I know there are certain departments here working to do, but I feel like by having big national campaigns like that, you're able to communicate to like department staff more easily, like the benefits of doing so and how to go about doing it. And I think the big campaigns like that have really benefited like unis everywhere.
Okay. I'm so glad again that you brought up decolonizing the curriculum, because that was actually the last thing I was going to ask you about.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I know that you do philosophy, so I was not going to ask you what do you think decolonizing would look for every subject, because I don't think that would be a very fair question. But what would decolonizing sort of look like in that department, and how do you plan to go about accomplishing it?
Yeah, so decolonizing the curriculum is basically just trying to make sure that the curriculum reflects everyone and everyone is included in that. And especially in philosophy, I mean, a lot of the time you're reading texts written by really old, ancient white guys. And that's not across all of the modules. There have been some I've been in which have included like very modern philosophers as well, and you have a very wide range of viewpoints, but there's definitely still areas, I'm sure this goes for like other subjects too, where there's people that are being missed out, and whether that's people from BAME backgrounds that are being skipped, or women, or just people from all across the world, LGBT individuals as well. These people make up a lot of the student population and the population like nationally as well. So having a curriculum that's just full of people from one individual background is just, it's not good. That's not how the world actually is. And we need to make sure that on our reading lists and module handbooks, we're pointing people towards readings and content that's produced by people from all sorts of different backgrounds.
Okay. Yeah, that's really excellent to hear. Thank you so much for that. I also study philosophy, so I guess I did have a little bit of a vested interest wanting to know what you would do specifically about philosophy. But it's been really interesting to see, especially from the jump from sub-honors to honors, just how more decolonized the curriculum has become. Like, for example, in my human rights class, I don't even think we're reading Rawls, we're just reading colonialist critiques directly of Rawls. So it's definitely, I think, something that a lot of students are seeing a benefit of happening right now, and it would be great to see that keep continuing. So I think those were all of our sort of policy specific questions, but we do have some 3 kind of rapid fire ones, if that's okay, if we still have time. Are you a cat or a dog person?
I'm a cat person, like through and through.
Okay. All right. we'll take it. I'm a big dog person. There's contention in our flat right now about dog
Yeah.
versus cats, but
See, like, I'm not one of those cat people that hates dogs. Like, I still
okay.
like a dog, but I've always grown up with cats, so I think I'm just like very much used to them. Like, I
Mhm.
don't feel at home if there's not a cat around.
Oh, that's very lovely. Oh yeah. What is your perfect pre-COVID day/night in St. Andrews?
Ooh. So this is like I mean I guess this is kind of lame, but my perfect day in St Andrews would actually like definitely include going to King James Library because it's just beautiful and studying in there is amazing. Like it's so quiet and peaceful and old. So that's great. Would definitely do that during the day. If the weather's nice, which on my perfect day it would, but obviously it's not always ideal.
Yeah.
I would go for a walk on the beach, just because that's like my favorite place to go for long walks. It's so nice and getting the sea breeze hitting you when it's like a little bit hot outside. That's ideal. And I would end off my day with a pub in the evening, definitely. Sat out in a beer garden with a nice like pint of a local beer. Heaven.
Which pub is your favorite, if you had to choose?
Oh gosh.
I know it's a contentious question, but
Oh, it is. I love Aikman's, but like beer garden wise and sitting outside, the Rule is the best. Like, and they redid their beer garden as well. I was in there in summer, and it's so nice out the back now.
yeah, they have all like the new chairs and the like canopy stuff. All
Yeah.
right. Final question. It's a tough one. Would you rather fall on the ice in front of your module coordinator or spend 24 hours on the top floor of the Union without being able to leave?
I would rather fall on the ice, but
Okay.
also that's probably the more likely thing for me as well. I'm quite clumsy. So falling on the when it was snowing here a few weeks ago, I was slipping everywhere. So falling
Yeah.
on the ice in front of a module coordinator is quite likely to happen for me.
Yeah, that was crazy. It like when it iced over for that week straight, that was yeah, it was you were taking things into your own hands every time you stepped out of your door.
Oh yeah, I was walking around like just like prepared to slip and fall.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I guess I'll end it by saying if there's one thing that you want someone who's watching this interview to take away and the one reason to vote for you for association president, what would it be?
Ooh. Oh gosh, it's hard to just like sort of give one reason without like rambling on and including everything. But I would definitely say that if you vote for me for association president, you're voting for someone that is committed to inclusivity and accessibility and will put that into everything that I do.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time and good luck with the election.
Thank you very much.